The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Beneath the Cowl podcast, Cosplay Alliance, our partners and affiliates. This episode may contain coarse language and sensitive subject matters. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, my name is Cassandra Ariel, and I'm here on the Beneath the Cowl podcast. We're starting off great with Cosplay Alliance, and I'm here with Alyson Tabbitha.
Hello.
Hi, so tell me a little bit about yourself, just who you are outside of just the cosplay world, because we know that we're more than just our cosplays.
Outside of the cosplay world, I am a caterpillar mom and a dog mom, and I really love my friends. So other than that, I like to cook. I'm pretty boring outside the cosplay world, I would say.
You want to elaborate on the caterpillar mom, because that's anything less than boring.
Yeah, so I raise monarch butterflies because the monarch butterfly population is dwindling, and butterflies are pretty and they're very easy to raise. So if you can do it, I suggest you do it. And all you need to do is like get some milkweed, and it attracts the monarchs, and you get the eggs, then you put them in a net, and in the net you put a milkweed plant, and then the milkweed, or they eat the milkweed, and then they form a chrysalis, and then they go through their like metamorphosis phase, and then they become a butterfly. Then I release them. So, and that's my butterfly momhood.
Saving the planet with butterflies. I love that. So everyone knows you for all of your different transformations when it comes to makeup, the cosplays themselves, going from Darth Maul to Johnny Depp to Wonder Woman. So can you tell us a little bit about how you started in cosplay? Like when you started, what got you interested in it?
I started cosplaying in 2014 by accident, because I really got over into Halloween, and I just go so hard on the costumes for Halloween. And one year on Facebook, on my personal private Facebook, I posted a picture of me like before and after as Jack Sparrow, because I was Jack Sparrow like 4 years in a row, and I was like, hey guys, should I do this again or should I do something else? And since I was homeschooled, I didn't have a lot of like in-person friends, so I would add people online from like The Sims and stuff that I like, because I played The Sims and I made music videos for The Sims. But anyway, after that, someone posted it on Tumblr, I think, and then it went super viral, went on iFunny, homepage of like Yahoo Mail. This is way back in the day, and like Reddit and stuff. And then people started flooding my private Facebook, asking like to add me as a friend, and like ask if I have a cosplay page they can follow. And I'm like, what are you talking about, cosplay page? And I was like, I knew what cosplay was because I was super into Final Fantasy, so I would Google Final Fantasy characters, and like real life people dressed as the characters would pop up. So I knew what it was vaguely. And then I found out there was a local convention. I went to my first local convention and dressed up as a character from Final Fantasy, and then I got hooked on cosplay. But before that, I just went really hard for Halloween. That's how I got into it. And then I was like kind of invited into the community very swiftly, and like I just ran with it. I was like, this is awesome. I grew up with no friends, so like I was like, community, crazy.
So was Final Fantasy, was that your first actual cosplay? Because Jack Sparrow, you said, was for Halloween.
Yeah.
So would you consider that your first cosplay, or would you consider?
Yes, I would consider my lightning. I did the Equilibrium armor from the third game. And yeah, because that was the most recent game at the time. And then eventually I backtracked and did the original lightning from Final Fantasy, because I love 13. Because I have a sister, and there was like a strong sister dynamic in the Final Fantasy 13 series. So I really bonded with that, and I thought Lightning was just the coolest person ever. But then I eventually went through like 10 was another series I love, 7 was another series I love. And I cosplayed so many Final Fantasy characters, especially in the beginning. And then the games kind of like, I think they kind of had a lull for a while, and I just need to get back into it because I love Final Fantasy designs.
Have you redone Lightning since you first did it?
No, I haven't needed to.
Yeah.
I've worn her again, but she held up really well. And when I first made her, it was mostly just thrifted items that I repurposed, and they're like in hot glue and super glue, and they're all holding up great. So
Nice.
they work.
What were some challenges that you faced when you first started getting into cosplay? Like whether it be construction or getting into the community that you faced at cons, things like that. We did ask a lot of our followers and subscribers questions that they wanted to ask you, and that was kind of a big one for people who were curious and starting into cosplay. Okay. So what were some kind of challenges that you first? We'll start with the challenges, and then we'll go to all the other stuff.
I think getting into the community was actually the easiest part for me because, again, I had like Edward Scissorhands syndrome where I was just happy to be in the real world because I was so used to just my family or like my small circle of like homeschool activities. And then like I never had a huge school group. I didn't grow up with friends from high school or anything. I never had that. So when I was first invited to the community, everybody was so sweet that I was just like, they are just sweet. And like, I'm so excited to like be around people in the real world. Eventually, like later, especially as like, you know, online followers grow and all that, like it gets a little weird. But in the beginning, there was no struggle with community. I think my struggle was people would beg me to like, how did you do this? How did you do this? How did you do this? Because the resources 10 years ago were not what they were today. The tutorials we have and the access to costumes we have and makeup tutorials for certain characters, we didn't have that back then. So people were like really eager to learn. So what I would do is like, I try to make tutorials. And I think back then, there were a lot of like elitists that like thought you could only cosplay with like the best materials or like with certain methods. And I was kind of the girl that just like, I didn't care about mess. I didn't care about, you know, I didn't care about serging my seams. I put craft paint straight on wigs or straight on fabrics. And I got so much criticism in comments and forums and like people just tearing apart my methods and saying like how bad they were and how they're not going to last and how dare she make tutorials when her methods are so dodgy. And I'm like, I've been doing it for 10 years now and it's still working out. And most people do it now. And because I don't think there should be like a level of expertise you have to start cosplaying. I think you should be able to do it with whatever skill set you have at the time. It's not like an elite thing that you have to join where adults playing dress up.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing about a lot of your tutorials are they're accessible for people who don't have maybe a lot of access to materials or they don't have the skills yet to do something like brocading and things like that.
Yeah, or even just the money. Some people don't have the money to buy dye versus a 99-cent jar of paint from Walmart, you know? It's a huge like it should be accessible whether your skill level is high or low or like your financial situation is high or low. Because I was making like poverty level income when I first started cosplaying. I lived in a trailer, like I was working out of my bedroom floor. Like it wasn't something that I couldn't afford a serge or I couldn't afford a laser cutter or a 3D printer or like brocades. I had to like cut cheap lace into shapes and then like hand sew certain stuff and maybe paint it with a gold paint because I couldn't afford the gold lace. I could only afford the like really cheap white lace. So I just worked with what I could. And in the beginning, that was definitely something that made me really insecure because like, I was like, I was having a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, why am I making tutorials if this isn't the right way to do things? But then I'm like, but it's working. So how is it not right? Because it's working and it lasts. So I was very excited when people started doing it.
You had said about cosplay elitism and how that made you feel kind of insecure about the methods you were using. So when you say cosplay elitism, what do you mean by that? Because that's also something that I kind of like to touch on and talk about in the community. So when you say cosplay elitism, what does that mean?
To me, my experience is just they think there's like a certain level of skill you have to even like participate, or worse, to gain success. Like they think that you shouldn't get any success or accomplish anything or even like be in contests or like be recognized in the community or anything if you aren't like a master at the craft. And it's like, I consider myself a jack of all trades and a master of none, because my enjoyment from the community, or my enjoyment from the hobby, comes from participating in the community and making friends and turning into my characters. I really don't care much about the journey to that. Like the making, some people like love just making costumes, and then when it comes to putting them on, they're like already exhausted. They're like, I don't even want to do this. I had fun making the costume. And it's like, people should be able to cosplay for whatever reason they want. And I don't like when people like put rules on stuff that should be fun. And cosplay should be fun. Why else would you play dress up as an adult if it's not fun? You know, I mean, know some people do it for their career, but as a hobby, it should just be fun. We shouldn't put rules on that. There are no rules for fun. Well, except for state and within legal parameters.
Or if you're entering competition.
Yes.
And I think that I agree with you on that. I think that is something that's been kind of lost in the community when it comes to how popular cosplay has become, and when it comes to social media, of people now putting rules that they think needs to be on cosplay in order to succeed, because they see some people succeeding and they think, well, my technique is better than them, so why am I not succeeding compared to them? And then they lose kind of the whole reason they started in the first place, in sort of the rat race into getting success, which we've been kind of trained that success equals numbers. And I've seen some of the most talented, humble, incredible people have very few numbers on social media, but their work is amazing, and they take prize after prize at cosplay competitions. And so do you think, since you've been in the cosplay community for a while, how do you think, or have you seen that social media has transformed cosplay?
I think it's transformed it for the better and the worse. I think for the worse, maybe just people preform ideas of others based on a number that they don't have control over. Like everybody who cosplay and has a social media page is doing the exact same thing that I am doing. They're making costumes, they're dressing up, and they're posting it on social media. I am exactly like them in that regard. The only difference is a number that I cannot control. And I think people be like, oh, well, she doesn't deserve that number, so I hate her now. Maybe she's a horrible person for that. And I'm like, I can't undo that. I'm doing exactly what you do. I had just post my cosplay because I want to make friends in this community. And, you know, I get jobs out of it, which is awesome. And I wish everybody could experience that. And that's the good side of it, that some people have turned this into a career, whether they can use their skills and like make tutorials for others or patterns for others and extend that knowledge to everybody and share what they learned, so other people don't have to go through those growing pains. They can just like hit the ground running, while we were like stumbling and like, oh gosh, what are we doing? Now young cosplayers can be like, oh, we can already do all of this. We're just great. And I'm like, good job, guys, good job. And then I think another good thing is like I've seen people get recognized by like big companies, and like there's people that started as cosplayers and they're now working for like huge movie studios on their costume designs or like on the movie makeup. And like it's incredible what social media has done for the average person to be able to achieve stuff that is usually only in a really tight circle of like, if you have the right connection, you get into it. Now you don't need the right connection because you actually have a fighting chance to achieve your dreams. So I think that is a great side of social media. And the negative side is just like people get really competitive and judgmental and form opinions about people they really don't even know personally enough to form such a strong opinion about. So that's the negative side, which I wish I could just like, that's the only side that like, if I could delete my social media tomorrow and still be able to do the job I love, I would, like in a heartbeat. But I love what I do so much, and social media is like a huge part of that. I'll just deal with it, and the good people that I meet are worth it at the end of the day anyway. So
yeah,
it's
fine.
Huh?
I said it's definitely a double-edged sword. It's become a double-edged sword. Like, a lot of us can't do what we do without it, but also it brings such kind of a mental and emotional burden, because a lot of people can be anonymous behind the scenes, or they can use like like cancel culture. They can use it as a weapon to fight fights in disguise of something, of being, I guess, a white knight for people. And I've noticed a lot of that happening in the cosplay community a lot more recently. And we actually have a question that funnels me into that about gatekeeping. So a lot of times, I know I've experienced it, I know you've probably experienced it, of having other people compliment you by insulting someone else, saying that, well, Alyson is the only one who can cosplay Wonder Woman, or Cassandra's the only one who could cosplay Poison Ivy. How do you feel about that whole kind of gatekeeping to cosplay?
They just get blocked. I do not like content, or I do not like comments. They are not compliments when you're insulting somebody. I don't think you can have a compliment while you're insulting somebody, because it still has like that air of negativity that's so unnecessary. It's like, am I only good because you dislike them so much? Like, I want to be good because you like what I do, but I also want you to like other people. There's room for everybody here. There's no need to like compete. Like I think if anything, they're like, the more people you support, the more uplifted your entire community gets as a whole, and it benefits like everyone around you. And like, I just made a post privately to like my friends and stuff, like telling them to add their like email to the thing, because I recommend people often. What are you doing? It's okay. There's no one there.
Is it Nugget?
That's Nugget.
You can bring Nugget on screen if you're a special guest.
Come here. He thinks that. Come here. Come up. You want to say hi? He's like, no, I want to get whoever's at the door. It's probably Amazon, dude.
Maybe
anyway,
special guest appearance later.
Yeah, you're not getting all the attention. It's all right. I'm giving attention to Kratos right now. I'm dog sitting. But what was I saying?
We were talking about gatekeeping and using compliments as negative.
Oh yeah, I don't like that. I just think it's unnecessary. There's room for everybody, and yeah, that's a no. Don't do that. Just compliment. Just say something nice and walk away. That's just always the right decision.
We got another question that someone sent in. How do you choose your characters?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I always blue screen when I get this question too. I'm like, how do I? Looks over at all my 15 unfinished cosplays.
I know. I'm like, they're not very similar, so I don't really know. I think I just see a movie and like there's always this one character, or even multiple characters, that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I bet that would be so fun to make, or so fun to be, or so fun to do. And it's usually the characters I bond the most with, or like I love their personality, or I love what they bring to the character, or I don't know. It's just, or from a series I love, like from One Piece, I'd cosplay every single character in that series because I just love them all. So I think it's just like, when I like a series or a movie or a game or something, or a comic book or something, and then if I like it, all the characters equally, I'll probably just want to cosplay all of them. Or if there's one that really stands out to me, I'll usually just like be drawn towards that. So yeah, sometimes I like to try to pick stuff that's relevant, but oh my gosh, my list has so many cosplays from like characters from like 30 years ago. I'm like, girl, stop.
The most niche character, you're like that one.
Like a music video that was like back in the 2000s. I'm like, okay, we can chill.
With that, on that, someone asked, what's the best cosplay you've ever done? So I'm gonna kind of change that into, what is your personal favorite cosplay that you've done? And then with another question of, what do you think is the best, I guess, your proudest work, so your favorite, and then your proudest work. Okay,
so my favorite and my proudest, or three? Okay, my favorite, for personal reasons, I'm going to say my favorite is Jareth from Labyrinth, just because I love David Bowie. That's my favorite movie of all time. Nugget, what are you doing? He's like sniffing. I don't know if you can hear that. I hope not. But he's like digging into the, like tumbles into the bed over there. He's so weird. But so Jerry's from Labyrinth, and then I think Edward Scissorhands, just because I have such a fond memory of making it. I made it in 2 weeks, but I made everything from scratch, every stud, every grommet, or almost every single detail on there.
Someone's vacuuming. I just have to hold on.
Okay. Okay.
I'm doing an interview up here. It's okay. Sorry, thank you. I'm doing an interview up here. So no, that's okay. You didn't know. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
So yes, we're talking about Edward Scissorhands and Jareth.
Yeah,
Favorite.
Edward Scissorhands, I made so much of it from scratch, and I made like the hands out of popsicle sticks and stuff, and like it was one of the costumes that I thought there's no way on earth I could make this. Like I knew I didn't have the skill set, so I put it off, and then eventually I was just like, you know what, it's time. I don't feel confident, but it's just I feel like it's time. So I did it, and it was the one that I realized like, oh wait, even if I think something is out of reach, I can still do it if I just like don't give up on it. And that was the one that kind of reshaped my whole mindset around like approaching cosplay. Instead of just having those dream characters that have to be perfect, that like you put off for years and years, I was just like, you know what? I can't do this because I don't know how, but we're going to take it one step at a time. And somehow I made it, and I was so proud of how it turned out that I was just like, oh my gosh, I put it off for all these years for nothing. And so yeah, that just, I like that one because I'm like, that was like a turning point for me. And I love how it turned out. And it was a character that, like I said, I have like Edward Scissorhands syndrome. I relate to that character so much.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been hidden away for so long, and then like through adulthood, like thrown into the real world. And then I realized like what he went through, the growing pains of like, people aren't always what they seem to be, even if you're like really eager to meet them, and like they could just turn on you and you don't even know what's going on. And like, so I related to that in a way. So that's why I like love Edward Scissorhands.
So what is your proudest, was it Edward Scissorhands, or I guess when it comes to construction, something that you made that you were like, you put that on a stage?
Well, I have never entered a contest because I don't think any of my costumes are stage worthy. I don't think I would even place in a competition, to be honest. I'm not competitive either, so I think I'd just vomit if I went on stage. I like winning doesn't sound fun because then people lost to me, and I do not want that. And losing doesn't sound fun because then it's like my work is not good enough in the eyes of someone else. So I can't do competitions. Like entering them, I cannot. I don't even like judging them because like I just look at the other judges. I'm like, what do you guys think? I love them all. So like competing for me, I can't do. But I honestly, I'm trying to think of like all the costumes I made. I do like my Dune one a lot. I think that one was a really fun build, and like it was like shockingly easy to make, but there's so many details that even if it's an easy thing to make, it doesn't look simple at all.
I've seen a lot of people using your tutorials with that one specifically.
That is definitely one of my most used patterns, which is like so awesome because like there's hundreds of people out there that are using my pattern to make a Dune costume, and they'll tag me in it, and I'll be like, that looks just like my god, that's crazy. Like the consistency, some people have been doing it for years and it looks amazing. Some people, this is their first armor build and it looks amazing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this costume is just like across the board a great thing to make, whether you're a beginner or really experienced. It's just, it always looks awesome. So if you like Dune, cosplay from Dune.
With that, how does it feel to you seeing the impact that you've made on cosplay? Because I know you're very humble, and which is something I absolutely adore about you, but you really have made a very big impact on cosplay, making it accessible, making people able to make things like this Dune suit, or feeling confident enough to actually to cosplay and not have to be perfect, because you advocate for not perfection, for fun.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to you knowing that you have made such an impact on so many people just through doing what you love and being who you are?
It's just surreal. It's bizarre. I don't think anybody can express that to me without me getting emotional. Like right now, I'm just like trying my best not to cry. But it's hard to just even think that I had an impact through playing dress up or making tutorials for people, just doing like what I consider arts and crafts. And then people will say like, I met the love of my life through this hobby because you got us both into it. Like some people have even waited in line for me and met in line, and then like years later will meet me as a couple, and I'm like, wait, did I just change the course of their life? Like what? Or like
Changing lives.
people, it's crazy. But like I have also have people like they will come up to my booth like years ago and meet me, and then like years later they'll come up with their toddlers, and their toddlers will love my cosplay. And it's like like now for the second generation of cosplayers, like they know who I am. So, and because their parents like showed them who I was, and it's like, to me, that is just surreal. It is beyond comprehensible to me because I don't feel important enough for people to impact people's life. So when people say that I've done anything positive in their life, it's just like, that's insane. It's bizarre. Like I genuinely can't comprehend it. And it's just overwhelmingly, it makes me so grateful and very emotional. So if I think about it too much, it's just gonna be a sob stream. Let's not do that.
What do you have any cosplays that are coming up that you're excited about that you can share with people, or something that you want to do? Like a Fallout cosplay?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, I have a Fallout cosplay on the way, which I'm very excited about. So definitely Fallout. That show was so good. That show had no right being so good.
I'm so obsessed with it.
I know. I couldn't. I didn't play the games, but people who have played the games say it's incredible because it follows like 3 different characters and 3 different kind of play styles. Like, if you're like a new player, they say following the main girl is like if you're a first-time player, kind of learning the vault, learning the world, and then like the guy in the mech suit. What's his name? I forget name. I'm horrible with names, but he's like, if you're just like, you already played through the game, this isn't your first time, so now you're just screwing around, doing whatever you want. And then the guy with the melted face, again, horrible with names. Yes, cool. That's like someone who's been playing for a long time. This is like their 10th playthrough. They're doing all the side quests, and they've just been around for a long time. They know what they're doing. They say it's kind of like following 3 different play styles. And then, so I think that's a really cool way to like think about it, because as a first-time viewer, I was able to watch the show and not need to play the games, like totally be enthralled in the environment, with the world, and like be able to keep up with what's going on, which I think it was really good how they did it.
Kind of like how One Piece did for the anime.
Yes, yeah, I did watch thousands of episodes of One Piece, but I did also introduce the streams to someone who didn't, or the movie or the show to someone who didn't watch the anime first, and we both loved it equally. So I think they're like, Netflix is doing pretty good, but this was Prime, so these live remakes lately have been incredible.
I'm just hoping for the same with BioShock, man.
I know.
I'm so nervous.
I know.
Sorry, we went on a tangent. We could talk about that like all day.
Yeah, it's so good.
What is something in the community that you would like to kind of see changed? Like something that has, maybe it doesn't have the best sort of impact on the community, that you would like to see done differently, or like to see kind of evolve into something a little better, healthier, more positive?
I don't have too many critiques for the community, because overall, I do think that the best friends people have ever made in their life as an adult have been through cosplay. I think you meet a lot of incredible people through this hobby, because you got to think it's like an era of total like innocence, and like, like we're just playing dress up. That's so cool. And then we're wearing our hearts on our sleeves because we're like bonding over these geeky things that we like. And like, I think there's a lot of really good stuff to be found and like in this community, and it's an expression of so many creative outlets like photography, acting, video editing, makeup, sculpting, sewing, painting, dyeing, wig work, prop making. Like there's so many different aspects to it that are great. I think if anything, I wish everybody would like just not stress about the social media aspect of it so much. I think the turnover rate for posting has definitely gone up in the past few years. Like you used to be able to make one costume every 3 months and it just be your big costume that you revealed, and then like you were able to work on it in a reasonable amount of time, and then you were able to post videos about it or like photos about it, do multiple shoots, wear it to multiple cons. And like now it's like the turnover rate is like once a month doesn't even cut it. You have to have like 2 or 3 costumes a month to like keep up with the social media race. And I think that has a lot to do with the accessibility of costumes, and the quality has gone up on like costume websites, so people can afford, to get a lot of costumes, especially if like financially they can. But like it kind of does leave the people, especially when I first started, it was something I could not afford supplies to make really elaborate, nice costumes. So I had to use really cheap stuff and spend more time on it to make it look expensive or make it look really good. So I do think that's the only thing. I think it kind of separates like a financial class almost, because some people just can't afford to keep up with the cosplay race, and I don't like that. That I think we should just try to slow down a bit. But like also people are pursuing this as a career now, which is not something any of us did when I first started that I'm aware of, because I didn't even know I didn't make a living out of it for like probably my first 7 years. It was only in like the past 3 years that I was even able to make profit from like cosplay. So I just don't think that the social media race is healthy for people's brains. I don't think that is like a positive aspect. I think it's stressful. Like I do this for a living, and so it's my job. Like I have full time to put into it, and it's stressful for me to keep up with. It is not healthy to like constantly have to pull ideas out of your brain for TikTok, especially. Like before we could just pose for a camera. Now we have to come up with videos that are engaging and like do these transitions and plan them out. And we're already dressed up in the cosplay, so we want to make as many TikToks as possible. So now we're like brainstorming 10 different video ideas for one thing, when we used to just have to do 10 different poses.
Yeah.
And then like,
yeah,
so I'm sure you do.
So hard.
I know. I'm sure
it's so long since I did.
It does, because like, do you like write a script and stuff, and like, or not? Like you have to like pick your video audios and then also write the notes of like what you want to do. Make sure you have a background set up that's appealing, because you can't just like, digitally alter it in Photoshop after like you can with a photo. So like you have to make sure the setting is right. And I don't know, it's just,
I think
it's
that's
a lot
something
more
that people don't really like sometimes understand, just how much that goes into it. And they're like, oh, you're not making enough. Like, I know that you put a lot into it. A lot of us do. I put so much into it, which is why I've slowed down, just because of a lot of other things like moving and things like that in my life. That when I make it, I have lists and lists and lists of different audios. And then I have, the costumes and the makeup that I do is so intense most of the time that I don't want to have to get into this again later. And so I plan it, okay, this is my day, I'm getting into it, and then I try to have all the audios all at once, and then you're like, that is the one day I have to film it. And then I've noticed a lot of creators have been getting kind of a little like burnt out, or kind of feeling really down on themselves because of the algorithm changes and things, putting all this effort in and seeing their videos or their photos not do well when maybe they used to, or they just can't seem to get themselves off the ground. What advice do you have for people who are taking it to heart, like to themselves? Because I know that the algorithm has recently changed, where it's only showing 10% of your followers or 10% of people. And if they like it, they'll show more. They're focusing on other things than they used to. And people are really taking it to heart that their content isn't doing well anymore. And they're like, maybe they want to leave cosplay. Maybe they're feeling like they're not good enough. So what advice would you give to people who are really struggling with how the algorithms are treating kind of cosplay, or kind of with the oversaturation of the community has been doing on social media?
I think there's things you have to remember with the people that are very successful. They usually have like more access to more costumes. Sometimes they have teams of people helping them take the photos. helping them edit. They have people helping them like get costumes. Sometimes they're trading it amongst their circles, which is useful. And they have more friends that have the means to like help them, or they just have a circuit of people helping. So I personally have a one-woman team right now, so I get the side that it's like it's really hard to not take it to heart. Like, am I not doing enough? But you have to realize if you're doing everything you can and you're enjoying it, you're doing enough. You don't need to do more than that. Just if you're posting content, it should be because you're excited to post that content, to share that with people. And it so sucks, I know, when you share it because you're excited to share it with people and you think you did a really good job, and you probably did do a really great job. And then this social media algorithm doesn't even like share it with like 5% of your followers. That is very soul crushing, because it's like, I was so excited to share this and I'm so proud of it. Like, no one's going to see it, but it's on your page. It's part of your portfolio. They will see it when they come around. You'll have a post eventually that, you know, will draw them to you. So just try to remember why you are posting it in the first place. And it's because you love to do it. If you don't love to do it, why do it? You know, you don't have to post stuff. If you like cosplaying because you like going to cons, go to the cons. If anything, you have these cosplay pages so you can network with people, and you're going to meet people at cons and you're going to give them your cosplay page, and that's going to be how they can keep up with you if they want to. And I don't know, it's so tough though, because people ask me like, how do you grow a page? And I'm like, I haven't grown my page in like 3 years. I don't know how to grow a page. It's so unpredictable how to grow on social media, because even if you have a viral hit, you might get a huge flux of followers, but they might not never see your post again. Yep. Or they're going to only like that one post because it's such a broad audience that they're just going to be like, why did I follow? I don't really even care about any of their other videos. I just like that one video. So even virality isn't the answer. It's just post the stuff you're proud of, because that's your portfolio, and post the stuff you would want people to see. Don't just, I notice a lot of people, they just turn stuff out and they're not even enjoying the content they're making, and then they're not getting a lot of views on it. And I'm like, well, then what are you getting out of this? There's no point to do that to yourself, because then you're posting stuff you're not even that proud of. So the people that are seeing it will probably notice you're not even enjoying what you're doing. Like, people can feel when you're like loving it. Like, they can, that's the energy you're giving off through the screen. So if you're just like, you know, oh God, get this one out, like, they're going to feel that, and they're going to be like, does she even like this? This is awkward to watch. Like, I don't really, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yes. By the way, hi everybody in the chat. I'm seeing people pop up. Hi Susie and Lazaros and Ivy and Lynx.
Getting kind of off social media for a bit, in cons, in person, what is your favorite part about cons, like being at cons?
Oh my God, just the environment, just the feeling of like walking by somebody, and like, go to a grocery store as on a normal day. You're walking by a ton of humans constantly. People are hardly making eye contact. We're just all in our own world. At a con, everybody's looking at everybody. They see something they like, they're yelling across the hall, oh my God, I love your cos. Like, it's the most social, inviting, like, awesome energy place to be. I love conventions because of that. Because like, it's like, especially like the cons that feel very, especially like the smaller ones, I think like Hallmat has the vibe. Like, maybe not huge cons, like, I'm not going to name the names, but the huge comic cons where it's like very business, we're all shopping, we're just going through these sardine packed aisles, like maybe not those, but like the ones that are a little bit smaller. I love the con environment. Like, the app, just hang, even,
by the way, everybody, don't not go just because it's small. Some of the small ones are the most fun.
Yes, exactly. Especially if you're in it for like the community experience, and you love cosplay. And like, cosplay actually at huge events that are super crowded isn't that much fun, because even if people want a picture with you, it's hard to even find a place to take a picture without people like walking in front of you or anything. So don't sleep on those smaller conventions. Your local ones, go to them, go support them. Like, sometimes those are the ones that deserve to grow. and we're feeding the beast.
What's one of your favorite kind of interactions or memories or funny stories that you've had from a con, like with a celebrity, with a company that you worked with a guest, or someone meeting you?
I'm trying to think. Well, I just worked with BYO Lightsabers, and
I love them.
their whole team, amazing people, so sweet, so humble, so amazing, and their products are great too.
Yes.
But like, I
Everyone
love
should go
them.
support them. BYO
Yes, everybody,
Lightsabers. Go support them.
BYO. Yes,
We
I
love
think you're
them.
going to work with them soon, aren't you?
Yes.
No,
Absolutely. The most cool,
everybody
small
should support them. They are amazing lightsaber company. They have awesome products too, and
They really do. They're so
they have
cool.
such good hearts. I love supporting companies with good hearts. But anyway, they were awesome to work with. I just worked with them. That's why I had to note it. I think anytime I've met somebody through, like, I meet a lot of my cosplay, like my idols. Like, I met Trisex at Hallmark. He's awesome. I met Rachel Maxey. I waited in her line. I flew out there. I flew to Boston to meet her. And I was so excited because she doesn't do cons. So that was her first con. I was like, oh my God, I gotta go show my support. I love her. And I was like, oh, Ewan McGregor's gonna be there too. So I guess I'll see him.
Yes, I'll be Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is worth the trip. And my friend Ollie was already going because it was in Boston. She's from Boston. But so I went and joined her, and I met her, and like meeting her was awesome. Now we're really close friends. I love you, Rachel. And I also met Cutie Pie Sensei at a con, and she was just fantastic. And
Sunshine personified.
Yes.
We love her.
So meeting fellow cosplayers is always just like an amazing experience, especially when you meet one you like really click with instantly that you followed for so long. It's just like, I can't believe you exist. Like, how are you even real?
You're a person. You're real.
I know. It's like, holy crap. So that's amazing. I think probably the funniest experience was at last MegaCon. I was behind the scenes, and I was waiting to meet Hayden Christensen in Padme, and he knew I was going to be there already. But I was put in like a separate room, like a waiting room, so the celebrities could walk by privately. Like Ewan McGregor was walking through, and like Tom Hiddleston was walking through. So they're like, you just go in here. So they put me behind a curtain, and I was like, did they forget I was here? I was waiting there for a good while, and like I couldn't tell what was going on. The signal wasn't going through. I couldn't text anybody. Nobody was updating me. So I take my face and I peek out, and like there's a crowd of people walking by, and I'm like, I see the guy that was coordinating the meetup. So I see him, and then I look over, and Hayden Christensen's like, because he recognized me, and I take the curtains and like, and I'm like, not yet, and then I close. It was so awkward. It was so awkward, but it was funny. It was a great memory. It was a great memory.
Oh, Susie, I got to meet you both for the first time at the same con. It was the best time ever. Oh, Susie, miss you.
Yeah, Susie, is that Hallmark where you helped me get dressed? Because I didn't have anybody to help me get. I needed to get. She was literally dressed as Antopy. Is that how you pronounce it? Yes. And I needed help getting dressed, and I was like, I couldn't do my corset. So she was like helping me dress as Wonder Woman. And I was like, this is so fitting. This is perfect. That was so fun. That was one of my favorite con experiences, was hanging out with you, Susie.
What's something that you want people to kind of know about you? Like when it comes to meeting you at cons or interacting on social media?
I think a lot of people, because I feel like I do have a very like polished, acting cool vibe to a lot of my content that I post. Like I seem like I have everything put together, but this is like super overthought, planned out, like tested, edited, like pristine content. Like this, I'm putting out my best because it's my portfolio, like I talked about earlier. So people think I'm intimidating and like super professional. And some people are like afraid to meet me. And I'm like, guys,
I'm just laughing because I know you. So.
I know, you know me. So it's like, I am the most harmless, awkward, like friendly. I'd like to think I'm very friendly. to everybody across the board. Like I'm not intimidating at all. Just speak
Even
to
a little
me
bit.
and you will, yes, if you think of me like this, it'll all melt away the second you like meet me. You'll be like, okay.
I think the first time we actually ever spent time together was at the Ren Fair, and you
Yeah.
ran and almost ripped the vine down from the tree riding on the string. And I was like, oh my God. And it was so funny and so just real. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I think we're going to get along. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
I think people have a misconception that I'm cool and collected. I'm not. There's nothing cool about me, which is fine. Like I like that. I like to be kind of awkward because I feel like then people can like not be uptight and be a little awkward with me. Like we can all just relax and be a little squishy. Like who cares? You know?
Yeah. Do you think your numbers have kind of affected that in the way that people see you?
Yeah,
Like they
I think
see the
it's
big
just
number
like
and they
that.
think, oh,
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, to achieve that number, you got to have something that everybody else doesn't. It's like, no, I have luck on my side. I have the right eyes at the right time. Maybe I got into the game earlier than most. Like, that might be it. Like, I don't actually know why the numbers are there. They're just there, but they do not impact me as a person whatsoever. And I think that is a hard thing to deal with sometimes because people who I used to be friends with or like used to know me in the community kind of vaguely, just because like we didn't have a normal, like a deeper connection or a longer lasting friendship for no other reason than like sometimes you meet people that you just don't click with as much as other people. So you prioritize the people you click with more. And like, they'll be like, well, Allie changed because of her numbers. I'm like, everybody on the planet has like their tiers of friends, but once you have like any form of success, everything is just blamed on that. Like you cannot be human anymore. It is all just, oh, you have numbers, so you're a bad person because you let it all go to your head. I'm like, we just don't have the same connection that I have with other people. But I do understand that like if someone really admires you or likes you and like they might develop a little bit of a parasocial relationship with you, and then it might be a little crushing to think that you don't like them as much as they might like you. So I do sympathize with that. um and it's a lot harder to be like, well, maybe we just don't have a good connection. It's so much easier to be like, well, she's just a snuck up snob, so I don't like her anyway. Like, that's why we're not friends. It's my choice. It's not her. I'm not being rejected. She's deciding, or I'm deciding I don't like her. So it's like I'm quitting before you fire me type syndrome, which I'm just like, I promise you, if we just like connected a little deeper, you would be as close to me as like other people are. So it's nothing, it's never anything personal. And like, I've never been like, you know what? I have too many followers to do this thing. Like, I couldn't even imagine that thought even, what impact would that have? I don't think people think that far into it, but yeah, I think that's a weird thing about followers. People suddenly connect everything to that. Sometimes it's people's reason to be your friend. And I'm like, you do know that won't change your life at all. Like that will have zero impact on our friendship at all. Like, so I don't know why people think anything about that matters.
I think it comes down to also forgetting that people behind the screen are people. Even if you have 1 million followers versus 100 followers, you're still a person. And I think sometimes, like when it comes to celebrities, they feel so removed because they see that big number and they think, oh, well, someone like that could never be friends with someone like me, or they must, like you said before, or they must have like had some sort of attitude to get to that place, you know? And I think it's a lot of projection of sometimes insecurity of, well, I'm not like that. So like you said, like if you don't have that connection, they go, oh, well, since I can't be like that, then they must be the problem. And
exactly.
That's a reminder to people, like everyone behind the screen is a person. Everyone's a person, they're human. And sometimes you're going to get projections onto you and there's nothing you can do except just be authentically you. And that's something that you do so amazingly. And I think that's part of why you have such a big following, is because people can see the person that you are. You know what I mean? Because you're just a ray of sunshine. Like I absolutely adore you. So like,
you're right back at you, Cassandra.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to kind of say, get out there, tell your followers, your fans, or just people maybe getting into the cosplay community? We'll wrap it up.
Well, I think if there's any comments in the chat, if anybody has a question before I go, feel free to ask. But
I think there's one that says, "Are we getting Johnny Depp as a Barnabas cosplay?"
Oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated because he was on the list of my Johnny Depp compilation, and I was just like, I was doing the wig, and I was like, you know what? After finishing up the Mad Hatter, and then finishing up Sweeney Todd, and then doing
Todd.
Thank you. And then doing Willy Wonka, I did that all within a week. Like, I was so burnt out. I'm like, you know what? 5 costumes is just going to be enough. And I'm just going to call it quits. But Barnabas was supposed to be part of that lineup. I don't know if I'll do it. Just because I didn't love that movie. It was more just going to be part of the compilation. Mm-hmm. But I do have a lot of the pieces, so I might do it. I do still have the wig and the coat and all that, so maybe it'll come. Maybe I'll do another compilation with even more characters of Johnny Depp. I have so many of them.
I think that's kind of all that we had really for questions.
Okay.
Chat. Awesome. So yeah, well, thanks for being here with us. Unless there's anything else you kind of want a last parting shot or anything like that.
I just love the people that are nice to you really hard. Enjoy the stuff you love to do and have fun in life. It's short, it's fleeting. You never know what's going to happen or when it's going to change. So if you got that happiness right now, hold on to it tight and enjoy. Just love it. So I don't know what else to say. Oh, cosplay is awesome. Do cosplay.
And don't forget the play and cosplay.
Yes.
Well, can you tell us real quick where we can find you on social media if you somehow know who really is?
It's ALY, because my mom only gave me one L, and instead of an I, it's a Y. ALYSON TABBITHA, Tabbitha, with 2 B's. And yes, it's 2 first names. And at anything, YouTube, Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. I think that's it. Facebook. Oh my gosh, there's too many.
I know there's so many to keep up with.
Too many.
There's so many.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for being with us and for taking the time to talk. You can find this interview and a lot of other ones on the Beneath the Cowl podcast on the Cosplay Alliance YouTube channel and on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, X, whatever you call it now. But yeah, thanks for everything you do for the community.
Thank you. And everybody follow Cassandra too, because her work is awesome.
Well, bye everyone. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Allie.
Bye.
If you're watching this episode on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment below on what topics you would like to see us cover on future podcast episodes. Also, all episodes are available in audio format on all major podcast platforms. Thank you for